Laws are like bones. By the time you reach adulthood, odds are you've broke a few. I mean, even some of the people we look up to have broken the law once or twice. Like the time my uncle got caught running a red light while eating an apple pie from McDonald's. Or even when Buzz Lightyear himself, Tim Allen, got caught with over a pound of cocaine in a Michigan airport. Or even the time when Jared from Subway got caught jaywalking in New York. What did you think I was gonna say?
That was too far, man. Jared Fogle is a genuine fucking menace. Absolutely not. I did not like that.
Yeah, he's a pedophile.
But just like real life, the Star Wars galaxy has a few bad apples as well. There are multiple crime syndicates like the Pikes, Crimson Dawn, Black Sun, Hutts, the list just goes on and on. And to celebrate the release of the new Tales of the Underworld animated series that came out today, May the 4th, I wanted to make a CMF featuring some of the most powerful bounty hunters and crime lords of the Star Wars Underworld. Everyone seems to love this concept so far, and it's been a while since my last CMF video, so I figured it's time to come back to my roots and make a new CMF series. I was originally planning to include Mandalorians in this CMF, but there were so many that I decided they deserved their own, so keep your eyes out for that one in the future. Sadly, this means no Boba or Jango Fett, but it allowed me to fill up those additional spots with a ton of really interesting bounty hunters. And make sure to stick around to the end of this video because I'm going to be featuring all 12 of these minifigs in a mock made just for this video. So with that being said, sit back and relax, maybe grab yourself a Tatooine Tequila Twin Sunrise, and enjoy as I show you 12 notorious criminals to celebrate the new Tales of the Underworld series. To start us off, we have the Mad Wookiee himself, Chrysanthemum, who's actually incredibly similar to Russell Crowe. He's most well known for his time as a gladiator, but will likely still assault you if you upset him in the slightest way. Chrysanthemum was a really cool character from the book of Boba Fett and the Star Wars comics, where we see him beating down legendary characters like Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Simply put, this Wookiee was not afraid of a fight. Similar to Russell Crowe, actually. This specific Chrysanthemum minifig is from American Bricks, and I personally believe it's one of the best customs you can get for this character at the moment, and I love the quality of this minifig. The details of this print are super impressive, and he's printed on real Lego, which is awesome to see from American Bricks. I think this blood-hungry Wookiee is perfect for this Underworld CMF. He's a really interesting character, and who wouldn't want a new Wookiee to add to their collection? Dirge was one of the deadliest bounty hunters in all of Star Wars, so I had to include him in this list. He's a member of the Gendai species, which means he has no bones, but instead is made up of regenerative tentacles. We see Dirge get cut into pieces and even blown into tiny chunks by the King of Dismemberment himself, Obi-Wan Kenobi. But both times he comes back, which is why he gained the reputation as a bounty hunter who was impossible to kill. And I picked up this bounty hunter from Brick Tactical, and I think he fits really well into this CMF. Honestly, in my perfect world, I would want the Big Kid Bricks version of this character, but he was sold out. This Brick Tactical custom is still an awesome minifigure for this character though, and one I am happy to include in this CMF.
Oh, it's so bright out here. Oh my god. Why couldn't we do this at night?
Zero the Hutt was one of the main villains from the Clone Wars movie who kidnapped his own nephew and framed the Jedi. We see this character multiple times in the Clone Wars TV show, and honestly, it was really cool to see other Hutts besides Jabba in this show. So I had to pick up this thick lad from American Bricks. The details and design of this minifig are incredibly impressive, and the minifig itself is 10 cantinas out of 10 for me. I think Zero is a perfect fit for this Underworld theme, and like I said earlier, it's really cool to see a new Hutt minifig, so I had to include him in this CMF. I will be honest, I have no clue how they would fit him into the packaging without making it obvious, but hey, that's Lego's problem, I'm just the ideas guy. I personally think this is one of the best customs in this video, but let me know what you think of it in the comments.
Sam, there can be no mistakes this time.
Zam Wesell was the bounty hunter we see from Attack of the Clones that attempted to kill Padme and was misgendered by Obi-Wan Kenobi a couple of times.
Can you see him? I think he is a she.
But just like Michael Jackson, Zam Wesell could change her appearance and skin color because she was a Claudite. We see another member of this species in the Clone Wars working with Cad Bane, so we get a better understanding of how their abilities work to shapeshift. This is a minifig that LEGO hasn't updated in over 20 years, and a figure nowadays will cost you over $50 on Bricklink. So I picked up this Zam Wesell for only $9, and I think she looks awesome. She comes with multiple headpieces, and I feel like she fits this theme to a T, which is why I think this minifig would be another perfect addition to this Underworld CMF.
I, for one, have no intention of listening to this kind of insolence.
Cad Bane is one of the most well-known bounty hunters in all of Star Wars and one of my personal favorites. We see him throughout the Clone Wars TV show, escaping from Jedi like Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and even Mace Windu. This dude got away with assault, murder, running from the police, and much more, which is crazy because that's definitely not something that would happen in the real world. This dude is no joke, so I had to include him in this list. This specific minifig is based on his appearance from the Book of Boba Fett, and I honestly think it looks great. I think this is a really awesome minifig to add to your collection, which is why he earns a spot in this CMF.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.
Some duos are just iconic. Shaq and Kobe, Batman and Robin, Chuck and Larry, the list goes on. But none of these duos have destroyed a planet killer multiple times like Han Solo and Chewbacca. They didn't three-peat the NBA either, but you know, who's counting? When people think of smugglers in Star Wars, this duo has to come to mind. I mean, these guys made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs.
Anyone want to make the Kessel Run?
That'd be cool, but we only got 12 parsecs.
Hop in.
Now, I know this duo doesn't fully fit in with the others as they eventually join the rebellion. However, I think they would fit perfectly into a CMF like this. If you think about it, they're the first scoundrels we're introduced to in the famous Mos Eisley Cantina and play such a pivotal role in the series. There's a lot of possibilities for these characters, which is why I think they would be a perfect duo for this CMF.
Hey, boss, who's your girlfriend?
Shut up, Dengar.
Dengar was an infamous bounty hunter who we see in episode 5 and also in the Clone Wars TV show. He was actually born on Corellia, the same planet as Han Solo. However, his path turned out to be vastly different than Han's. Dengar worked for the Hutts, Empire, and other criminal organizations, making him more villainous than Kevin Durant. I actually picked this minifig up from my local Bricks and Minifigs, and I have to say, the guy who helped me out was a real homie. We actually had Star Wars bounty hunters the whole time I was there, and he had tattoos of both Boba and Jango Fett on each of his arms. So if by some crazy chance you're watching this, shout out to you, my guy. I'm actually stoked to finally have Dengar in my collection, and I know a lot of fans would as well, which is why I believe he deserves a spot in this CMF.
Bad news, boys. If I don't hear from her soon, I'm gone. And you're both fried.
Bossk was one of the most blood-hungry bounty hunters in all of Star Wars. I mean, the guy's religion was based on how many enemies he could kill. And after the death of Jango Fett, he played a large part in raising Boba. But to be clear, Bossk was not the stepfather. He was the father who stepped up. Bossk is a really interesting character who we see all over the Star Wars timeline and one I would be happy to see in this list. This dude is a deadly bounty hunter and this character is perfect for a CMF series like this one, especially since we rarely see him in LEGO sets anymore. So I think he would be a welcome addition to this bounty hunter CMF.
I am prepared to kill you, the hostages, whatever it takes to get what Boba wants.
Sounds more like what you want.
If Bossk was Boba's stepdad, then Aurra Sing was the abusive stepmother. Aurra Sing was first seen in episode 1 for all of like 3 seconds, but that turned into multiple appearances in the Clone Wars, comics, and even a name drop in Solo.
You killed Aurra Sing.
Pushed her. Pretty sure the fall killed her.
This character is one of the deadliest bounty hunters of her time and has really interesting lore and legends. I'm using the Clone Wars version of this character, so her face is a little goofy, but there are some really good options that we could use for this character. I think she's a character that fans would love to see a new minifig of, and I think she's perfect for this CMF, which is why I'm including her in this list.
Phase 1 complete. We're in.
We're going from one woman to another, kind of like Usher, but without the herpes. Fennec Shand was introduced to us in The Mandalorian, and is seen in shows like Book of Boba Fett and The Bad Batch. Even though she was introduced less than 5 years ago, we've seen more of her than a lot of the famous characters on this list. And she's a strong character, but we don't really have a large backstory for her, so hopefully we'll see even more of her in the future. All in all, Fennec is a really interesting bounty hunter who we've seen a lot of recently, which is why I think LEGO would include her in this list. Hembo was a really interesting bounty hunter that we see across the Clone Wars TV show. He starts off as an almost heroic character, working alongside Anakin and Ahsoka. However, later in the show, he's actively trying to kill Anakin and Padme. I think he is a really interesting character, which is why I made sure to include him in this CMF. He's a one-of-a-kind bounty hunter and one of the best from the Clone Wars. I mean, you have to think, there are likely thousands, if not millions of bounty hunters in the galaxy, but this guy was one of the best that was hired by Count Dooku and Palpatine. Like, this guy's resume is stacked, which is why I think he fits perfectly as the 12th and final minifig in this CMF series. But who do you think has the most impressive resume out of these 12 crime lords, bounty hunters, and smugglers? And make sure to let me know who your favorite character and minifigure are out of this group, along with anyone you think I may have missed. My bounty hunter collection was actually incredibly small before I started collecting minifigs for this, but now I am stoked to start using these characters in more mocks. And speaking of that, let me know if you can spot all 12 minifigs in this Underworld mock that I put together specifically for this video. I built this bar on Coruscant, ran by a slimy crime lord, and scattered all 12 minifigs throughout the build. Make sure to let me know if you can find them. But if you like this video, odds are you'll like my other CMF videos, so why don't you pick your favorite out of this playlist here. And if you're interested in something else, YouTube thinks you'll like this video. But as always, thanks for swinging by the Cantina. I wish you safe travels, and I'll see you in the next one.